Hi everyone. I would like to thank you all for coming, and I'm very excited to be introducing our new timekeeping system, Tsheets. Now, before I get started, I would like to let everyone know that on June 27th, we'll be sending out invites for Tsheets. If you do not get an invite, please let us know. When you open up Tsheets in the web browser, you'll see and log in, you'll see that this page will appear. You'll have your chat with us to get any help you might need from Tsheets. Also, you have in the bottom left, also you have in the top right the question mark, which is a help menu. Contact us. We'll have a number. There's some guides in here. Anything that's going to help you put in your time into your time card or do Tsheets. Also, you have this getting started video that pops up. We will not be utilizing this, as this is a video on punch in, punch out timekeeping. We won't be using that. So you can just uncheck this box down here that says show this guide when I sign in, and then exit out so that it won't populate anymore when you open up Tsheets. For example purposes, we'll be using John Smith as our employee here and Jane Doe as the manager. As you can see at the top here, you have two tabs in your time entry system, and you can get there by also clicking on the left here. But you have timesheets and manual time card. I prefer the manual time card, but to each his own. I'll first start with the manual time card and show you how to put in time here. If you go down to the left, far left column, you'll see customers here. No customer is where you'll click to put in a customer. The X is if you wanted to completely cancel out or delete this row. I'll click no customer. It'll open up the customers that are available to me. I will click on my work breakdown structure for the client I will be billing. I'll see down here that it fills in billable, class, and service type. I'm going to put in 8 hours for Monday. My notes will pop up here in the required section. I will put in my notes, test, and I'll hit save. Now, it is possible that after you fill in your customer, you could get a required response down here as well. That would just mean if you had 2 or more options to select, you would just then have to hit on the down arrow, and then you would pick the one that pertains to you or what you're doing for that day. Now let's go in and fill the rest of our time out. I'm going to click on my next customer, the no customer here. I'm going to put in some just normal metro time, fringe, jury duty, and I'm going to put jury duty to be 8 hours on Tuesday. You'll see that it pre-populates all my billable, class, and service item, and we do have notes that are required. I'm going to put test and hit save. Hit no customer here. I'm going to put in some PTO time. You can see that my balance automatically pops up here, and if I put 8 hours on Wednesday, you'll see that it immediately lowers my balance by 8 hours. Notes are not required for PTO, so you don't have to put anything here, but you can put notes if you'd like. I'm going to hit no customer, and I'm going to put in my floating holiday. You'll see how I have a floating holiday balance of 8. I'm going to use that on Friday. As again, it has no notes required. Don't need to fill that in. If you would like to, you can. I'm going to hit save. It saves my time card. Now I'm just going to put in another 8 hours here in order to fill in my time card. Put test here. Hit save. Now I've filled in this time card for this week. To go to your next time card for the next week, you would hit this arrow over. This is where I want to show you the Actions tab, which I think is a really nice feature, especially if you have a lot of projects and you have to put them in every week or every time card or timekeeping period. So if you hit Actions, and you can copy previous week's customers. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll see that it automatically populates all the customers that I had put from last week. And then I would simply just have to put in my time. The other option here is if I close out all this and I go to Actions and copy previous week's timesheet, it's going to populate all the customers and the times that I put in. I'll leave it up to you to decipher which one's better for you to use, but either one I think could be helpful. Also, you have View Manager Edits here. You can see any edits that your manager might have done to your time card. You would see the View the Details here, just to keep track of the history of your changes on your time card. I will have to go in and type in the required notes here. I'm going to do that. And for jury duty, whoops, 8. And hit save. Now my time card for this time period is saved and finished. Now, what I'd like to show you as well here is the Add Time button over here, the blue one. This is another way to add time in. You can put it in as a duration or a time in, time out. Now for the duration, you would just simply pick the date, put in the total hours for that day. You would pick the customer, as we've done before. It would populate all this for you, and then you would simply just type in your note and hit save, and then that would record your time for that day. Now, if you looked in here, you'd see that it has your floating holiday and your PTO under your customer side for duration. However, if you go to time in, time out, you'll see that when you click open the customer, you will not see PTO and floating holiday. That's because obviously you're not going to be time in, time out on your PTO or your floating holiday. So just so you don't get confused, if you try and put in time through the time in, time out, you won't see your floating holiday or PTO. And so if you're in the time in, time out, you would simply put in the time in date, the time out date, and the time, and it's going to calculate your hours for you, and the rest is the same as the duration. I'm going to cancel out of that. Now, down here below, you'll see that we have a flow system that allows us to flow through our time card. You can simply go back, hit the back button to go back to a previous week. You can hit the forward button to go to that next week, or you can hit a calendar to go to, if I want to go to the 10th, it would show that week. That time's already locked. Or I could hit click today, and it would take me back to the week that today falls into. Those are the flow options that helps you flow through your time card system. The next tab over here is Timesheets. This shows it in a little bit different of a manner. You have a few more options here as far as viewing your time. Over on the manual time card, you can't view it in a per pay period view, but you can here. So you have day, week, month, year, and pay period. And you have your same flow items here, your day, your calendar, and your back and forth. You have your edit down here. You can edit a time card here. You can view your log to see any changes or any notes that were put in, and you can delete that day if you'd like here. So really the only way to put in time would be to add my time. And you have your time in, time out, and your duration. We went over that. It's the same thing as we looked on the manual time card, adding time. So I don't think there's any need to go over that. Also, your actions, you don't have the copy forward. You only have view my edits, and you have submit time, same as you did on manual time card. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and submit our time. So you would click on the submit time. It'll open it up. You can flow through this however you want to. If I wanted to submit it up to June 20th, I could click here and click submit, and it would submit the time. However, for these purposes, we're going to click on June 29th, and we're going to submit our time. Then it says, are you sure you want to submit your time? You know that you're going to lock your time, and it can only be unlocked by a manager and admin. We're going to go ahead and submit it. Now our time is submitted. I am going to go over to Jane Doe and I'm going to reject the time so that we can see how the time rejection works and how you would redo your time. Okay, so I rejected the time and we can see that this is the email that we get. Your time has been rejected. Hello, John. I've rejected your time from this time period because of your negative floating holiday balance. Now, this is what the manager would type in here after because. So I can see that, okay, it's my negative floating holiday balance that I need to fix. So I would sign in here, go into Tsheets, and I would be able to fix my time. Okay, so I just need to refresh the page and it'll open up all the time for me. So we'll close out of this. We'll get into timesheets here and we'll see that it's now all open again for me to be able to change my time. Now I had negative time and that was due to the Friday that I put the floating holiday on. So I'm easily just going to put this to 0, delete that, and I'm going to change it to be 8 down at my PTO, and I'm going to save. Go up to the submit my time. I will pick all the time until June 29th. Click on that, check it all, submit, and yes, submit. And now my time has been submitted. Let's take a look at the time off feature over here on the left side. As you can see, the time off when you pop it open has your PTO max, which is 168, and has your floating holiday max as 80. You can see your live balance here. Just because it's in red doesn't mean it's negative. I know sometimes some things indicate negative when it's red, but that is not the case for Tsheets. This is a positive amount. So this is kind of where you'd want another place where you could go and see your PTO and floating holiday balance. So we're going to close out of here, and then we're going to take a look at reports. We have two options here. We'll start with the payroll report. We open this, and we can then come over here and pick the report dates. We can do week, month, pay period, and custom date range. We're going to do pay period. I'm going to select the pay period that we have, run the report. We can see that we have 80 hours, 48 hours regular, 32 hours of paid time off, and we can download it, print it, and open it as a PDF here. Now, if you're seeking more details, you can click this plus sign at the left of John Smith, and you can see that it populates more details down here, gives you the CSV here. You can download the Excel file or a PDF format here. And down here, it gives you a little bit more detail in the report. The neat thing about this report is if you are in it and you see something that you don't like, you have this delete my time over here. You can delete this time for this day, or you can go in and edit it if you would like. Now remember, if this time is submitted, this is going to be locked, so you're not going to be able to do it. However, I unsubmitted the time so that we could look at it here. So that's how this works here in the report. Let's go and take a look at the next report. Project report, we'll open that. Same thing here, we have our selections over on the side. We're going to do pay period. We're going to pick this pay period. There's a few more things that we can sort by. We can get a little bit more granular here with the customers, billable type and class, and then service item. I'm just going to be general and pick all. Now we can see it's opened up. It gives us some circle graphs as far as how we're billing and how stuff is looking. So what we can do now, as well as we can view timesheets here on the side, we can download timesheets in a CSV, and we can print them. So I'll close out, and I think we're good on the report side. Now I'm going to pull up the cell phone app for Tsheets. So just give me a second here, and I'll pull that up. Okay, so now I have the app set up here. This is the app. In the overview section, we have the ability to look at the day total up here at the top. We also have the week total. We can look at our week total for the week that we're in. And you can see where it says start week June 23rd, in week June 29th. Then we can go up to our pay period here, and it's showing our pay period from June 16th to today for 80 hours. If we were to have any shift items, it would be shown in here. This is for shift workers. Our weekly summary is shown down here. And this is also another place where we can go and see our time off balances. We'll click over here to the next one, time clock. We will not be using the time clock. We are not going to be doing time in, time out clocking or punching in. So this is part of the app that we won't need to use. We can go over to timesheets here at the bottom. This is where we would put in our time and review our time. If we simply wanted to put in any time, we'd go up to the plus up at the top right, touch on that. We can see that it's the same as the manual time and the timesheets tab on the online timesheet version. We have the time in, time out, and the duration. It would be the same thing, filling in the dates, putting in the customer, all these items, and the notes. You'd simply save your time, and that time would then be saved into your timekeeping system. Also, to further over to the right at the bottom is the schedule. This is where we would see our schedule through the cell phone app. We also have a more option here where we can go to time off. We can click on the time off and we can see all the time that we've used PTO or floating holiday. You can see that also June 14th is there from the previous time period. So this is all of our PTO and our floating holiday time. We go back to more. We can see our notifications as far as the rejected time, that Jane Doe had rejected the time for us. And then we have our settings there. Okay, so let's go down to timesheets here at the bottom. Back here, we are going to go through submitting time. So if I go up to the top and hit the submit time, for the ones that are open, that's the time that I have not submitted. The ones that I've checked are already submitted. So I'm going to simply, in order to submit this time, I'm going to simply check on the June 29th. It's going to fill in all the rest for me. And then I simply go up here and click submit. We're back to our timesheets. And that is the timesheet submitting, or the timesheet process for the online version and the app. Basically, at this time, we'll open it up for questions. So if you have any questions, please ask them now. Thanks.